That's always my analogy is when you get in the pool, you learn how to swim. And you learn how to swim better, but you have to get in the pool first. You have to be in the pool. You learn how to tread water. You learn the breaststroke, the backstroke, whatever the other strokes are. I don't know because I'm not much of a swimmer. I sink like a rock.
I believe that fulfillment is the soul's recognition of alignment with your purpose. And I have a lot of clients all over the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, different countries, different industries, different ethnicities, different genetics, different upbringings, you name it. That is a fundamental law.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 1056. Why is your circle a very powerful, real episode that I think was very, very necessary. Today, for episode number 1057, happy Monday. What if your purpose is in your past? One of the most challenging questions I get is also one of the questions I get most often. And it's, you found your purpose, you love podcasting, you get to do it every single day, it is your job now. How does somebody out there find their purpose? And I always start with this. It's an unreasonably challenging thing to do. There is no one-size-fits-all answer. I really can't answer the question. What I can do is provide context and at least give you an idea of where to start. So this is my thought, this is my belief. I think for many of us, we have already experienced and or lived our purpose. But maybe it was a time in our life where we didn't know how much we loved it, or, and this is one of my favorite things, it didn't seem realistic to us for us to make it a bigger part of our life. So I think there's a big difference between your purpose and the vehicle with which you deliver your purpose. So Alan and I's purpose is to bring holistic self-improvement to the masses, right? Ultimately, that's our goal. The vehicle is the podcast, and it's Next Level University, the business. I think a lot of us have that. We have the purpose of, I want to make the world a better place. Awesome. Let's dig a little bit deeper. What does that mean? Well, I really wish the environment was taken care of in a better way. Okay, awesome. Let's dig a little bit deeper. What does that mean to you? Well, every time I go to the beach, there's all this trash on the beach and it just makes me super sad. Okay, awesome. Let's dig a little bit deeper. And you keep digging, but eventually you have to create a vehicle to live your purpose through. And I think for a lot of people, and again, Steve Jobs has that wonderful quote, Alan, about the stars. Tell us about the stars.
Oh, yeah. Steve Jobs gave a Stanford address in 2005 where he told a story about connecting the dots.
Yes.
And he said that you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. But you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. That way, you can really follow your heart even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And in his case, he had decided not to stay at college. He dropped out of college, trusting that it would work out even though it was really scary. And then he didn't have to take the required classes, so he came to a calligraphy course, which ended up creating, Calibri and all these different fonts that we have on Word and all that. That actually came from that calligraphy course from Steve Jobs. And
did not know that.
He couldn't connect that looking forward of how this is going to apply to his future, that kind of thing.
Well said.
Thank you.
I look back, and I said this before. Alan and I interviewed one Danielle Murr back in the day, and we also recently interviewed her again, and she is now working with us, which is awesome. We used to listen to her on the radio. Mm-hmm. And Alan, I know you listened to her and you were like, oh, she's an awesome human and I'm a big fan of her. I used to listen to the show and think to myself, imagine if you could do that for a living. Imagine if you could just talk on the radio for 4 hours. That would be the best job ever. How easy would that be? That'd be awesome. Cool. Okay, so remember that part. I did a Facebook video in 2016 and the title of it was, Do You Deserve to Be Happy?
2012, Kev.
No,
2012.
I looked it up. It wasn't.
2016?
2016.
No way.
Yeah, I looked it up. I literally couldn't even watch it because it was connected to, I used to have a website called BEFD, Better Every Effing Day. And it was like hosted on there. I don't know. It wasn't even on YouTube. But 2016, according to my Facebook.
It felt like so much longer than that.
Well, you and I, what was I doing in 2012? I lived in New Hampshire when I did it, so it had to be 2016.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So I did a video in 2016 before Facebook had Facebook Live, and it was called Do You Deserve to Be Happy? And my thesis in this quote-unquote podcast episode, is basically what it was, is I believe you deserve what you work for. So if you're working for your happiness every day, I think you deserve it. If you're working for your ideal partner, I think you deserve it. If you're working for the body of your dreams, I think you deserve it. That is still something I believe in to this day. But again, that was me doing my purpose. I just didn't have the vehicle yet. I believed and I thought, well, if somebody's on the radio and they're talking for 4 hours a day, that would be pretty awesome. That was a hint to me of, hey, maybe this is something that you would enjoy doing. I keep thinking on this frame, and I play this out for some other years in my life, and there were points where I was coaching people long before I was a coach. Probably 2016, I was coaching people on relationships. I was coaching people on self-improvement, on mindset. I never knew that's what I was doing. I never knew that that's what I was going to do in the future. But I did know that was that was part of my purpose, to help people. So I believe for many people, and this is just my experience and my perspective, I think odds are you've probably already practiced your purpose in one way, shape, or form. Maybe you were at the point when you practiced it where somebody said, you got to think realistically. You got to think realistically. There's no way you're going to start a company and you're going to clean up the beaches of the world and make money. That's not realistic. So what you did is you took your purpose and you put it away for a little while because you said, you know what? I don't know what the vehicle is for me to bring this to the world. So that's my thought. That was my goal in doing this episode is, where are the patterns in your life? So I listened to the radio and said, wow, that would be an awesome job. I did a Facebook video all about self-improvement, basically. And then I was coaching people without getting paid, without thinking it was coaching. And I was so happy to do it. And I absolutely loved it. And then when I started a podcast, all of that connected. Would I have ever started a podcast if I didn't love the idea of talking on the radio, if I didn't do that Facebook video, and if I wasn't coaching people? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But the mission, the purpose is to help people. The vehicle for us is the podcast. So I think it's at least important to know the difference between a purpose and a vehicle.
So I'm going to try to make this analogy land. I used this with a client recently, and I think it landed really, really well. Because I have a new client who asked me that exact question. How do I find my purpose? And so we went through the patterns in her life. I literally had on a piece of paper every job she's ever had. And they're all entrepreneurial. She's never worked a 9-to-5. She's never even worked for anyone else. She did bakery stuff. She did, she was in sales on the side, working for a friend. She was involved in a church and community service. She also did photography, a ton of photography. She's still doing photography. She has a bunch of these, right? And we have them all on a page. It looks like a spider web type of thing going on because they were all connected. And what I figured out, I said a couple of things you can deduce from this, right? One, you're entrepreneurial, for sure. And by the way, there's only one through line in all of these things, and it's your name, because none of them had brand names. She started a bunch of businesses, but they didn't really have names. And so her name was like the main brand name. And also, all of these businesses were started in one area. So this person actually lives in Jacksonville. And Kevin and I, for those of you who don't know, we spent a month of our time in Jacksonville. We lived there for a month together with one of our mentors at the time. And so we know Jacksonville. And so I said there's a couple things jumping off the page. Number one, everybody in Jacksonville knows you. Not everyone can just start baking food and have everyone come and buy it, right? That's not normal. That's awesome. Go you. And I hope this person is listening, so she'll smile. But anyways, so you're entrepreneurial as hell. You obviously have never had a long-term, one company job. You definitely love to do a variety of things, and your name is probably pretty well known. Because based on all these business endeavors and you not having any single brand, it's a little bit surprising that you've been able to not only survive, but thrive this long without any steady jobs. You obviously are very gifted. And so again, that's just one example of looking at your past. And that's really what I'm doing in coaching is I'm analyzing people's past and their present, and then I'm analyzing the future they think they want. And I've often used this analogy. It's like you think you're here, you're actually here. You think you want to go here, you actually want to go here. And you think the vehicle is the escalator when you actually need to take the elevator. That kind of thing. And that's the analogy. But when I was on this call, I used this analogy. I hope this person is listening because this will be fun. I said, okay, the problem with people in achieving their dreams and their purpose and their mission is, and this is true for me, this is true for Kevin as well. We kind of know where we are, but we don't know exactly where we are. So for example, the iPhone, the GPS in this phone, Kev, can pinpoint us within a foot. I have a client who has an app, and there's a lot of legal issues if you use the GPS up to a foot. And so you can do like within the neighborhood, you can do within the state, you can do within the country in terms of data. And there's a lot of privacy policy. And so whenever you download an app and you accept the terms and conditions, there's a terms and conditions in there of like how much can we use your GPS. And it even says, can you allow this app to use your GPS? You've seen that. And we just hammer yes, not knowing the implications of that. That's a whole other conversation. But my point is this is the analogy. Imagine you get in your car and you're like, okay, I'm going to get to my mission. I'm going to go. And let's say you're in Jacksonville for this person. You're in Jacksonville. I said, you want to come visit me in Mass. All right. You can type in Massachusetts and it'll say, okay, in 24 hours, you're going to get to Massachusetts from Florida. Awesome. The moment you cross into Massachusetts, it's going to be like, yo, where in Massachusetts? And you're going to have to put in a town. And then you can put in my town. You can put in Uxbridge. Okay. And then the moment it's going to get you there, and the moment you cross into Uxbridge, the GPS is going to go, wait a minute. Okay, now where? And then you're going to have to put in a neighborhood. And then you're going to put in my, let's say, condo complex. And then once you get to the condo complex, you're going to have to figure out which condo. And so what we do with a GPS is we say, I am at this address, this exact home right now within 2 feet or whatever this GPS accuracy is. And I want to get to insert exact address. I'm not going to put my address here publicly. And then it gets us all the way there. The problem with finding your mission and achieving your goals and your purpose is that you get to Massachusetts and you're like, now what? And then you have to refigure out what it is. And this is why I say, and I'll take you through my journey quickly like Kevin did with his. Kev, I'd be willing to bet that you and I have had more conversations than almost anyone else you've ever spent time with in your life. And I'd be willing to bet that all of those conversations, every single one of them, in some capacity, had to do with a deeper understanding of the world, of some level, ourselves or the world, or goals and dreams, and or maybe like movies and food. Okay, that's pretty much it right there. Every conversation we've ever had probably had to do with those three things. People, goals and dreams, success, fulfillment, a deeper understanding of the universe or ourselves. And I make a joke with people. I say, I don't care what we're talking about. We're going to end up talking about goals and dreams somehow. And it's going to be a pain in your butt, but you'll thank me one day. So here I am in this world where I think everyone talks about goals and dreams all the time, when in reality, it's actually me who's talking about goals and dreams. And I didn't know that they don't do that on their own accord. Anyways, so that's one indicator, connecting the dots.
Hello everyone at G6, my name is Roberta. I'm glad to be connected with all of you. We had a wonderful last few months, encouraging each other, keeping each other accountable, especially Lynn. Thank you very much for being there. And it's been an amazing journey. One thing I wanted to highlight, what it was done for me, is it has helped me to reprioritize. I think I was suffering from people pleasing, and especially with this online space, everybody just coming to sell you whatever they are selling, and their group and their funnels, whatever it is. And in being nice, there's a lot of time I wasted on things that are not in alignment with what I want to do with my life. I wasted so much time, and this accepting friend requests of people who are not in alignment with what you're doing, because we live in a world where everybody asks you how many followers you have, and they think that's where the value comes from. I am done with that. I'm rejecting friend requests and group requests that are not in alignment with whatever I'm pursuing. So This has been a life changer for me because I realized how much time I wasted not being productive just because I'm being nice to people, and I'm done doing that. Because I've learned to prioritize things that help me become a better person. If someday in the future, 5-10 years from now, I want to pursue those things they were selling, and I respect the hustle, I may go back to those things. But right now, whatever it is I'm doing, I am not accepting any invite, anything that is not in alignment with my purpose and my mission right now. And I realized, as I said, how much time I had wasted. I thought I needed time management classes just to keep up, but it just was not for me. And it's been surreal, actually. Even when they message me and they try to be nice, I know all of those scripted sales pitches, and they try to be nice to you and say, we will help and with this and with that. I told one guy actually on the message, I said, I'm sorry, I hear what you're saying, but no, this is not for me, but thank you very much for reaching out, which I would have not done in the past. So this has been a game changer for me. Thank you very much for the group coaching. It's been an eye-opener, and I hope everyone's journey continues to rise.
I've been helping people achieve their goals and dreams, and Kevin and I recently have been reflecting a lot on our past behind the scenes, and it's like, oh, interesting. Okay, well, that person. Oh, wow. Okay, so I did help them achieve their dreams. And fast forward, I started out coaching Amy Diaz. She's currently you see her on this podcast. She's the one who asks the questions live in the live podcast. She's my executive assistant. She's on the NLU team. She's the longest standing NLU team member. And I remember 4 years ago or so, I started coaching her for free. And I was coaching her in fitness. And fast forward, I eventually can't do this for free. We start doing fitness for money, weekly. I think we started bi-weekly. Then eventually it was weekly. Then it was, you know what? I'm not a fitness coach anymore. I think I'm more into personal development and mindset. And then we started mindset coaching. It's like, you know what? Honestly, mindset is a little vague for me. We got this peak performance tracker. Maybe I'm doing peak performance coaching. Maybe that's what it is, right? And then fast forward. It's like, well, honestly, I'm starting to realize that I know more about business than I thought. And some of my millionaire mentors, super successful business owners, it's like I'm starting to really get this. And I'm starting to understand, oh, wow, in some cases, I actually know more than they do. Maybe that's my genius zone. Maybe that's my purpose. So success, peak performance, success, achievement, the science of achievement. I went through a fulfillment road there for a while, and now eventually business, coaching, and consulting. Oh, now I'm a consultant. So not only am I going to help you with your business and your business growth and your personal development growth as a leader of a business, now I'm going to coach the whole business and the whole team too. Right? And so now I'm a business coach and consultant, and I actually coach multiple businesses, not just the business owners. But here we are 4 years later, but really I'm 33 years old now, and I'm just now starting to understand my purpose and my passion are the same thing, and it's my genius zone too, which makes sense because if you're always doing it, even when you didn't know you were doing it, of course you're going to get good at it. Mm. And so there's a couple things I want to really bring home here. Number one, your purpose does come from your deepest pain on some level. There is something that has always frustrated you or bothered you or made you sad or pissed you off. One thing for me, people not being into self-improvement has always caused me a lot of pain. I never understood why people didn't have goals and dreams. I still struggle with it to this day. And when I didn't have goals and dreams and I felt directionless, that was a lot of suffering too. I never had a male role model. Consistent male role model, I should say. I had many male role models, but none that were consistent through the whole entirety of my life. And I didn't have a lot of guidance growing up. I had some, of course, I give my mother credit for that, but I didn't have a ton because, people can only guide you to their level of awareness. And so that's number one. Your purpose does come from some form of deep pain. If people not recycling bothers you deeply, that's an indicator. It's a clue. Number two, what you admire is what you should aspire to. Admiration leaves clues in books and movies. If you admire Kevin, if you admire me on any level, figure out why. What is it? Is it the oratory? Is it the the intellectual. Danielle Murr, I'll go back to Danielle. Danielle's a client, dear friend of mine now. Back then, I was always so admiring of her knowledge. She was so aware of so many different concepts. She was such a strong speaker. And I told her this. We were crying on the phone. And I told her the truth. Like, I was in a dark place, and I just remember thinking, like, she's so well educated. She knows so much about personal development and all these things. So your admiration, pain, admiration, there's clues in there. Number 3, it's probably something you've always been doing without knowing its value because it's always been there. And the last one, and this is the kicker, it's probably something that made other people insecure. Because when you're really, really in your genius zone and you're really doing what your unique gifts are meant to do on this planet, I'm telling you, you make other people insecure because you're so good at it. And so if I start talking business right now and you and I are in a business competition, it's not going to be close. And that's okay. I've studied business my entire life, right? From some of the best business owners in the world. And I'm not doing that to brag. What I'm saying is if we talk about cooking, I'm going to feel insecure. I know nothing, right? And I use cooking or cars as examples because I just never really cared that much. It's not my passion. It's not my purpose. So instead of like, I suck or I'm great, let's get rid of all that and let's say, am I in my purpose or not? Very last piece here, fulfillment and regret. This is what I've figured out, trying to figure this out my whole life. I believe that fulfillment is the soul's recognition of alignment with your purpose. And I have a lot of clients all over the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, different countries, different industries, different ethnicities, different genetics, different upbringings, you name it. That is a fundamental law. You are fulfilled when you are in alignment with your core aspirations, core values, core beliefs. When you are in alignment with your calling, you are fulfilled. Here's another fundamental truth. If you have regret, and you actually have the courage to feel the regret, that is the soul's recognition, in my opinion, that you are outside of alignment with your calling. And so if you regret not speaking up about that friend not recycling, and you regret not speaking up about that kid who was getting bullied and you knew it, you're not living in your purpose. You're suppressing your greatness rather than expressing it. And the suppression of self-expression leads to depression or eventually implosion. And I've been there on both ends of that. I've been depressed and I've been, lost my temper. And I know why. I wasn't living in my calling.
Fire. Quite an epic monologue you went on there.
Thank you, brother.
I was grateful to be along for the ride. I think, your life and your story is very similar. I mean, it's different than mine, but it's very similar. Like, you've always been wanting to help people. Mm-hmm. Forever. And always. I agree. I think if you're out there, it's something you've probably always done. I think a lot of us, we get to the point where it's like, well, this isn't realistic. It's not realistic for me to make this my life, my life's mission. There's a difference between it being a mission and your life's mission. So that's a whole nother conversation about figuring out what the vehicle is. But to Alan's point, and I think I'm glad you brought this up, is it only gets clearer as you go. I had no idea we'd be doing many of the things we're doing today 5 years ago. I knew I wanted to podcast. That was it. And everything else, I never thought about going on other podcasts. I never thought about this being a business. I didn't have any of those thoughts. But things have gotten clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer as we've stayed in the pool. That's always my analogy is when you get in the pool, you learn how to swim. And you learn how to swim better. But you have to get in the pool first. You have to be in the pool. You learn how to tread water. You learn the breaststroke, the backstroke, whatever the other strokes are. I don't know because I'm not much of a swimmer. I sink like a rock.
And then eventually you got to get out of the pool and into the pond, and then out of the pond and into the lake, and then out of the lake and into the ocean.
Got to take it one step further, don't you? Pool analogy.
Well, you got to get outside your comfort zone. Yeah. But Kev, last thing, I know we got to go. Your purpose, if it wasn't for Kevin following his calling, the first episode of the Conversations Change Lives podcast wouldn't have happened. And then Andrew wouldn't have said it. You had us go do that. And literally, I was in the bathroom and you said, imagine if you could do that for a living. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you could get paid to do that. And Andrew said, you can. Mm-hmm. That's the permission.
Yeah.
He gave you the permission. And then Joe Rogan already succeeded at it.
Yeah.
And so that was the permission too of, look, well, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, Tony Robbins as a coach, I'll never forget Tony Robbins. I saw his TED Talk and I was so inspired because I was like, holy crap. Like, that's what I've always been trying to figure out. What makes the difference in people's lives? That's the question Tony always says, like that. What makes the difference? How is it that someone can be stepped on and life beat the crap out of and end up being so fulfilled and impactful and wealthy? And then someone else who has, everything given to them, quote unquote, and struggle bus. So, I actually called Tony's company and I got coached. I don't know if I ever told you that story.
I think you did.
I called Tony's company and got coached by one of his certified coaches. And I remember thinking to myself, and I'm just going to say this directly. I'll even tell Tony one day when I meet him, I was like unimpressed. I was like, honestly, if Tony knew that that's the way I was treated, Tony would fire that man. And I still believe that to this day. And obviously now I understand, like, Tony's busy, right? So he doesn't necessarily have time.
Quality control is
quality
out of
control needs some work over there at Tony Robbins LLC. But all of those are clues. All of that is clues, right? All of those are clues. And that's the point for the listener. We talked a lot about ourselves here, but we want you thinking about your own purpose, your own calling, your own fulfillment, your own regrets. I'm just joking, but not even a single letter, regret.
There are certain episodes where we kind of do have to talk about ourselves more because I don't know. It's very hard to measure the experience of somebody else. I don't know all of their history and their thought processes and what they had growing up. So this is one of those episodes where I think it's more powerful for us to just walk you through what we've done. And I think it only gets clearer. The first step is to try something. And that's the last thing I'll say is if you really want to find your purpose, you want to find your passion, your mission, and then the vehicle after, you got to try a bunch of different stuff. And some stuff will stick, some stuff won't, and then that'll help you get clear as well. Next Level Nation, if you would be kind enough to leave us a review with the link in the show notes, that would be very, very helpful for us. We try not to ask for many things, and usually anything we talk about, the ultimate goal is to bring more value to you, whether it's group coaching or Next Level Nation or whatever it may be. This is a heart-driven, selfish ask, even though it's not selfish, because this will actually help us help more people, so you will help us with that. So it's a win-win-win. But if you will leave us a review on the podcast platform that you listen to us on, whatever your truth is, however many stars you feel we deserve, it will help us help more people, and you will be doing that as well. So please do that. If it is aligned, we would appreciate it very much.
72 individuals will be graduating from group coaching. The next 10 for Group 7 are going to be graduating in a couple months. And they're 2 sessions into the 6 sessions. It's a 3-month program. Achieve more in 90 days than you ever have before. Accountability, consistency, like-minded dream chasers in your corner. Remember when you were on a sports team growing up and you stayed consistent in fitness? That's what this is, but for chasing goals and dreams. Ambitious Army was the first group. Then you had Gratitude with Attitude. Then you had Tribe of Abundance. Then you had Pursuit of Excellence. Then you had Legacy by Design. And then you had G6, like a G6. And then Group 7 is Aspiration Nation. So if you want a chance to beat all of those names, Group 8 is starting on October 4th. I actually just got a message yesterday about someone signing up. So it will fill up. All of these have filled up. We're only ever taking 10 spots at a time. So click the link in the show notes. Check it out. All the information's there. Reach out to Kevin or myself if you have any questions whatsoever. We can send you the Instagram handles of people who have given us permission to share with you their experience. We believe in this program very, very much. Click the link in the show notes and join us for Group 8.
Next Level Nation, tomorrow for episode number 1058 is last week's live podcast. I took this from a quote that Alan's been using a lot lately. This year's losses are next year's wins. So that is what we will be talking about on our next live podcast. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.